Guys, I'm also going to put this interview for my podcast. So audio wise, can you guys identify your voice and your name and everything so the listeners can hear? So
Absolutely. I'm Ben China.
I am Paul China, the second half of the China brothers. Our voices sound oddly similar, being twins, but hopefully you can tell the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just two bumbling Brits, but we are the writers and directors of Night Shift.
yeah, so Night Shift, what's the key as far as writing a screenplay together? You guys are experienced at doing that, but what is the unlock at having two different writers on a project and making it really cohesive?
Good question.
Um, it feels strange to answer this as a twin because we don't know what it's like to not be a twin. So, and we know that, like, this question kind of comes out to siblings who work together and they always end up fighting, or you hear all these comedic stories. But with Ben and I, it seems very seamless. It feels like
Yeah.
we never run into any issues with each other. It almost feels like we barely make up one person.
Yeah,
So,
it's like our interests are the same, and creatively speaking, whatever we're conjuring up, it just feels we're always in sync, and then we can sort of play off each other and come up with new ideas that the other would be excited about, and it just feels, yeah, I think that excites us massively. It really does feel two heads are better than one.
Yeah, for Night Shift, what was the inspiration behind writing the screenplay? Growing up, were you guys cinephiles of Hitchcock suspense thrillers from way back in the day, or is it just something that popped into both of your heads and you just wanted to work on it together? What were the main influences for this story?
I think with Night Shift, I mean, we're massive fans of the horror genre and have grown up with the genre since we were kids, since we were probably too young, to be honest, when we saw A Nightmare on Elm Street when we were 6 years old, which is far too young an age. But with Night Shift, it's a ghost story. And I think that, no one is sort of impervious to ghost stories. Everyone loves a good ghost story. And even if we are personally skeptical or incredulous about believing in ghosts, there is always someone that you know and trust who does believe in them. Whether it's a spouse, a sibling, a co-worker, a friend, family member. And so we asked ourselves, why is that? Why is that? Why is it such a phenomenon? So many people believe. And then that led to the question, well, what is a ghost? And to us, that was a really fascinating question to ask. And that was kind of the kicking off point for writing Night Shift.
Yeah, and I think like the two sort of biggest influences, if you're using like past works of others for Night Shift, would have been like Hitchcock's Psycho and Mario Bava's Kill Baby Kill. I think those two were sort of like really sort of driving forces for us to create this story, and then add like a heavy dose of Giallo Cinema in there too. Not just with the visual aesthetics, but with the narrative. They were our biggest influences.
How great was it getting just Phoebe for your lead? Because I think I have not seen Boy Swallows Universe yet. My co-host loves
Yeah.
that series, but how much of a home run was it collaborating with her? And she feels to me to be a star in the making. You guys know better than me, so your own assessment.
Yeah, it was a wonderful game. Wonderful when we landed her and Lamorne and Madison as well. All three of those leads, but obviously particularly Phoebe because Phoebe, she's the protagonist. She's on screen alone for almost like 85, 90% of the movie by itself, and we had to have someone who was completely captivating, who could really nail that role and take the audience on the journey. And she was just a wonderful choice who executed Gwen tremendously, and it was a dream collaborating with her.
It was not, and it goes beyond just her acting capabilities because, she does hold such depth, but we really needed somebody who had terrific screen presence, who, as Ben was saying, was on screen by herself for for certain scenes wandering around the motel and needed to sort of be captivating enough to hold the audience's attention and to kind of like flick between drama and comedy seamlessly. And fortunately, Phoebe has all of that in spades. She's absolutely terrific, and it was wonderful to work with her.
As filmmakers, what's the key in actually crafting an effective slow burn thriller? Because for a lot of your narrative, it deals with tension and pacing and knowing pretty much the beats. How much work goes just into that? Just even what, working, shooting on the day or in post, but is there sort of an unlock as far as making it effective?
Yeah, I think it's a very sort of meticulous approach that we had to take, and be really sort of scrupulous with the design of the film. Knowing for well that audiences are smart, they've seen so much content and they can be one step ahead of the game. So it's it's paying respect to that and giving something that is wholeheartedly entertaining, but also something that's rich in its design with its story, its narrative, its character design, and being able to try and pay that off together, which I hope we did.
It also feels, in terms of building suspense, it mirrors comedy. Like comedy and horror are kind of two sides of the same coin, and Night Shift has moments of levity scattered throughout the film as well. We think that's necessary for horror. And so it's very much about building each moment and choosing when to have a payoff, to have like a fake shock, which is followed by a real shock. It really all does come down to pacing. And of course, like we map out with the script and the shot list, and then but in the editing room, you really find those beats as well. So it's just so much fun to play with, particularly when you see an audience reaction to it. You see when an audiences are squirming in their seats, wondering when when there's going to be a scare factor or a jump scare or whatever it's going to be. It's always wonderful to see that kind of reaction.
Just in general, when people come to you for advice on directing, what do you feel that most people who want to direct do not understand about the process? That sort of the biggest misconception about what you guys do as your day job that people, maybe neophytes, don't understand.
Number one, I would say leave your ego at the door. I think there's no room for it. It's very much, even though it is an artistic vision and the directors are the ones who are leading on the battlefield, it still is a very much a collaborative medium, and the story is what comes first. And also just to be overly prepared. You can never have too much prep. And so like Ben and I, we created for Night Shift, I think it was a 36-page document of a shot list, basically, where we knew we were in one location and we were going to be shooting in 17 days, and we knew it was going to be fast and we knew it was going to be hard. I mean, it was tremendously fun from beginning to end, make no mistake, but we had to be scrupulous with our shot list and our compositions and how we knew we were going to pull this off. And then that also gives you more room for collaboration with the actors, whether you want to improvise or what have you. So just to be as prepared as possible.
Yeah, I think the other one as well is to pay respect to the audience. Like I said before, like they're smart, and it's also, if you're stepping in and you're making a film, there is this notion of like you make a film that you want to tell, and hopefully people can come on and sort of see your vision. But at the same time, while it is imperative to do that, it's also imperative to don't forget the audience. You're making a film for people that you're hoping they're going to watch. It's like we have to always bear that in mind. They deserve we deserve their attention. So don't forget the audience.
Final question is just right off the top of your head. Can each of you name one of your all-time favorite movies, and what is it about this specific film that resonates with you?
I'm gonna dive. I'm gonna dive in and say Mario Bava's Kill Baby Kill. I know Ben mentioned it earlier. I think Bava is definitely one of our favorite filmmakers, and often people just go to Black Sunday or Black Sabbath, or Blood and Black Lace when they're talking about his masterpieces. But Kill Baby Kill is so effective because it's so much more than a ghost story. And I think that's what was a driving force and an influence for us with Night Shift, where you can have more than just the scares of the supernatural. That there can be horror coming from all different angles, and there's a mystery driving at its heart. And that film deserves way more love.
I'm going to piggyback off Paul and stick with Bava, and I'm going to say Black Sabbath, because Black Sabbath is, three films in one. All of them have a different tone and style, execute superbly. And watching those three films, you can see, or short films, I should say, you can see how it has influenced genre cinema today. So many filmmakers you can just look at and go, well, that's Sam Raimi's career, or that's Edgar Wright's career, and they are masterful in their execution. And we certainly wouldn't be doing what we're doing if it wasn't for the likes of Hitchcock.
Yeah, sorry. That's really cool. We started the interview talking about Hitchcock, but really people go back to Hitchcock and De Palma and all that stuff. But you guys, I'm sure you guys believe or are passionate about Giallo Cinema, and cinephiles can learn about filmmaking through Giallo, not just for its beautiful touches. There's a lot more to glean from that genre.
Absolutely. Giallo is a masterclass in narrative storytelling. I mean, it's taken elements from noir and then pushed it into genre. They're so clever, those movies. They really are. They're always one step ahead of the audience, which is such a difficult task to do. And that was a massive influence for Night Shift as well.
Yeah, I mean, like with any genre. I mean, even when you're looking at slashers, like there's always there's always films that aren't as great, you know, but when it comes to the standouts, in particular for Giallo, I mean, we're just looking at Bava and looking, of course, at Argento. Like those films are just the best of the best in terms of horror cinema, at least for us, and I know for many others. And yeah, they deserve to be uttered in the same breath as Hitchcock, without a doubt.
I really enjoyed your film, guys. Thank you so much. And looking forward to your next one, right? It's on IMDb set. It says you guys are working on a script. How far are we from that? Am I wrong on that as far as an upcoming project? So maybe in a couple of years?
That's which was that? That's the most evil, right?
Yeah, well, we have a couple of projects that we're working on. One sort of in the casting stage, and other ones in the finance stage. And bigger than Night Shift as well. So we're hoping to make them as soon as possible, man. We're itching to get back behind the camera.
Yeah, they have you guys here on IMDb. They're so inaccurate as most evil. So I don't know. That's probably one of your.
Oh yeah.
That's a film we sold a while ago. I don't know what's happening with that one.
Yeah. I think your guess is as good as ours on that one. But we do have other projects that Paul previously said that we're sort of set up, and hopefully we can get them going as soon as possible.
Great. Thank you guys so much for your time, and hope to talk to you guys very, very soon. So
Thank you so much, Greg.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
appreciate it. Take care.